Yo guys, welcome back. We are doing some more dev blogs today. We have balance changes. Finally we get one of these. I'm really excited. We are seeing some radar nerfs. This is looking at some older ships as well. Trying to rebalance some things. Some newer ships that are particularly problematic. Love to see it. I always enjoy these balance changes. Usually they are pretty good, I will say. They don't always get it right, but usually these ones are pretty good when they look at older ships, as well as some changes to some test ships that we can talk about a little bit later. So, radar nerf. Interesting. I like this a lot, actually. They need to go further, I think, but let's talk about it. It's for battleship radar only. So, is it that impactful? I'm not sure, but it helps. It helps. So the real problem here, I think, with radars being so available so early is that it leads to blowouts, right? Like destroyers getting taken out early leads to blowouts. I think that is fair to say. And this having a prep time, right? We saw this on Pioneer? Is that the right ship? Huge prep time for consumables. So adding 270 seconds, which, what does that work out to? Is that like 4.5 minutes? Yes, I believe so. Hold on, let me open a calculator. Hold, yeah, 4.5 minutes. That's good. That's actually useful prep time. There are some ships that have prep times that are lower in the minute range, minute and a half range, even 2 minutes. And I don't really see that as a downside, right? Because the battle doesn't start for the first 2 minutes usually. Like you're getting into position, you know, unless it's a carrier game where the spotting is that early. Usually we're not seeing any action for the first couple of minutes of a battle. So it needs to be 4.5 minutes for it to have any sort of impact. At least 4 minutes, I would say, to have any sort of impact. And this does. I think this is really cool. I think this is a really interesting change. Only to battleship radar, though. Might have liked to see that on all radars. Although, do high-tier cruisers need a nerf? Like, does a Des Moines need more of a nerf? You know, there's some issues with that. The radars are very powerful, though, in this game. Certainly. I like the prep time idea. Reducing early game unintended spotting, right? Like where you don't intend to get yourself spotted. I think that's cool. The battleship radars are a little easier to play around, right? Like destroyers, some of them have stealth radars. A few cruisers have stealth radars. I think those are bigger issues to it. And of course, the big thing that contributes to destroyers dying early outside of just bad play, which, you know, there's of all skill levels playing all classes. That's going to happen. You can't account for that. You can't change that. Carrier spotting. Carrier spotting is a way bigger deal than battleship radar, in my opinion, for early game spots on destroyers that get them taken out so quickly. I think it's a way bigger issue, so this is nice, but come on, Wargaming. When are we going to get the Legends change where plane spotting is minimap only? I cannot believe they haven't done that yet. It seems just like incompetence. Like they're just stubborn. It's a good idea. It works amazing. It's in a game that I've already played and it works so well. Like they can't even say, "Oh, we've tested it internally and it doesn't work." No, you can't get away with that. They're just lying then if they do say that, because it does work and it's just objectively better. And it seems like just they're unwilling to go through with it because, like, I don't know. I actually don't understand it. Before we rant about that too much further, Thor getting a detectability nerf, I think that is fine, warranted perhaps. The ship is incredibly powerful. With that radar nerf too, 2 nerfs to Thor, perhaps makes some sense. It does nerf actually the tier 8 and 9 as well for those radars. The tier 8 and 9 of the line do not get detectability nerfs, but Thor gets a pretty massive bump up in power on its survivability, smaller superstructure than these two, and on its, the armor is just a lot better on Thor. The guns too, sorry. The guns was the other thing I was thinking about. Way better shell velocity. Like these have pretty low shell velocity or mediocre shell velocity for their caliber. Thor is literally the highest shell velocity in the game. So for battleship. So I think that's warranted nerf wise. Still very strong battleship. Not one I enjoy playing because again, accuracy. We just talked about that recently, I believe. Triunfante. Strong, but right, like I don't enjoy that kind of thing, so I don't play it very much. Katsonis getting a nerf buff. Torps will be more like Gdansk, so let's talk about that. Gdansk has decent torps actually for its tier. They don't go as far as Holland, but they got a little more damage. 11,200 alpha, 10 kilometer range, but 86 knots is kind of wild. Surprisingly good torps for a gunboat, like a pure gunboat. And Katsonis getting them sounds like a buff, but I think it's a nerf. Previously, Katsonis had only 9 kilometer torps, so we're gaining a kilometer of range. The torps only did 10,700 damage, so we're gaining a small alpha damage buff. They went 80 knots, so now they'll go 86 knots, so a small speed buff. Okay, sounds like buffs, right? The reload. Katsonis torps have a 60-second reload right now. If once this buff goes live, or this change rather goes live, they will have a 106-second reload time. So pretty massive DPM penalty there, like nearly twice the long reload. Not quite, but that's pretty huge. So I would call this a nerf to Katsonis, which makes sense because this ship already is ridiculously powerful for a tier 9. It's got tier 10 levels of DPM if you get the angles right. It's that weird one where the guns have like a weird, almost like Sherman Torp angle, except with the main guns. If you get that angle, the DPM is ridiculous for a tier 9. Little weird to use, of course. Moving on, Cleveland getting a nerf, probably justified. Yeah, we've been abusing Cleveland just a little bit, certainly. I didn't play it that much, just the 1, maybe 2 videos I did on it since the heal buff, but wow, what a ship. That ship is, like, it's tier 9, easy tier 9. It's way better than Seattle, so yeah, a small reload nerf probably makes sense there. Anchorage, a decent reload buff, actually. I already thought Anchorage was really good. I love this shit, like, as a farmer. You don't have the utility of radar, but a smoke 203 American cruiser is very good, and a DPM buff is going to go crazy. So excited to take a look at that. Constellation is the radar, yeah, the radar American battleship at tier 8. So nerf to its radar, prep time, but now gains NC shells. That's a big deal because these had the Colorado guns, right? And Colorado guns are fine for their tier, but as you get into tier 8 and 9, they just simply don't have the pen. They do not feel very good at all. They shatter a lot. So having NC guns means decently higher pen. The floatier arcs too. There's a weird quirk in this game with aiming, the aiming system, where the floatier your shells are, the better your vertical dispersion gets. So that's kind of why NC can feel quite accurate. It's also got like 2.05 Sigma, I think now. So we'll see. I bet people who are used to Constellation are going to have a bit of a tougher time early on getting used to NC shell velocity because it is slow. It is a lot slower, but probably I would say that's a buff overall for sure. Missouri getting a, whoa. It's only a 2-second buff, but a reload buff on Missouri. I guess that makes sense since they're nerfing the radar on it. Okay, Missouri getting changes in 2026. How interesting. Oh, Seattle buff. Oh, well, Cleveland is still just way better. 22.5 seconds down to 18-second turn time. That's not the problem with Seattle. The problem with Seattle is the firing angles are just atrocious. They're so bad. Cleveland's like 25-degree firing angles and all the turrets are 360. That ship is crazy. Seattle's got to go like 50 degrees of broadside to fire everything when it's kiting. It's a little better when it's pushing, but are you pushing in a light cruiser when you're a tier 9 up tiered into super ships constantly? I don't think so. It's a tough ship to play. It's certainly the roadblock. Like, this is a pretty, like, one of the poster childs of tier 9s are just free XP bait. Like, you play the tier 8, you free XP through the tier 9, get the tier 10. Seattle Worcester line is just known for that, in my opinion. Hawaii getting a reload nerf. That is a very good thing. This ship is insane. From what I've seen, it's been absolutely dominating in clan battles, which feels bad if you didn't get one, right? Is that going to be enough? I doubt it, but hey, that's something at least, right? That's something. Hindenburg line, entire German heavy cruiser line, getting a buff to its amount of HP you can heal back. That is interesting. Oh, that is very interesting. Is that much of a buff to the rest of the line? I don't think so. Is it a massive buff for Hindenburg? Yes, indeed. Hindenburg gets a lot of healing, and crucially, its legendary mod buffs that healing even further. A lot of the time, when you got to your 4th or 5th heal with Hindenburg, it wasn't a full heal. A bit of that Salem problem, where, sure, you have a ton of theoretical healing, but the pen damage you eat just adds up to enough that the damage you have to your ship remaining is all permanent damage, unhealable damage. So 10% more pen damage, non-citadel damage. So that's pen damage, is very nice. That'll be really good, actually. Because what does Hindenburg struggle to? Not really taking citadels, unless you're just sailing broadside, and they have to get lucky too. But you know, if you're playing angled, it's overmatch, and now we heal back more of that. Cool, very cool. Manteuffel getting a nerf makes sense. This ship had the same or even slightly better DPM than the tier 10 on its secondaries when you got that perfect little angle kited. So yeah, makes sense. Like the gimmick of the line peaking at tier 9 is a little odd, I will say. So that makes sense. Very powerful tier 9, obviously. The main guns get a lot better on Adalbert at tier 10 though. So it's still like the tier 10 is still a better ship for sure. And you get that DPM at more of an angle. But the tier 9 having that was, I mean, it's such a the tier 9 was such a gigantic jump over the tier 8. This is kind of the opposite of Seattle, where the tier 9 was almost like the best version because you got the almost the same secondaries as the tier 10 at a whole tier lower. So makes sense, makes sense. Z44, is this the bad ship? Yeah, Z42, is that the one? 46 is the line ship. Why do they make these, like, why are German destroyers so confusing? 46 is the tier 9 line ship. 42 is the steel ship with the 105s, I want to say. So this is the bad Torp DD at tier 9. So getting a conceal buff, I guess that makes sense. What does that get it down to? It's like 5.6? 5.7? Somewhere in there? Not bad. That'll help it. I mean, I still won't want to play it, but that'll help it for sure. Hawkins to Albemarle on the British heavy cruiser line is getting a pen buff to its HE. I think this makes a lot of sense. I really do. Because I was wondering, like, why isn't the tier 9 and 10 included here? Well, because they get the 234s, which have the quarter pen on their shells. So they already have massive pen. So I didn't even realize this, but apparently the lower tier ones didn't have that. So that makes sense. As a buff, that makes sense. I still don't really enjoy that line much, but makes sense. Barfleur getting a pretty decent sized detection nerf. Interesting. What was that one? I forget what that one is. Wait, does ship tool not even... Wait, what? Does ship tool not have that one? Oh my goodness, hold on. Hold. Can we find it by going into British destroyers? Yeah, why was the search function not work? Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is the one with the, what, sequential loading torps? Is that it? Yeah, 57 seconds, but you load one at a time. Right. And otherwise, it's like a Jutland. With terrible DPM. Oh, it's only two turret Jutland. Right. Why is this one getting a nerf? Was it even that good? If I'm remembering right, I thought it was interesting with this sequential loading torp idea, but not like actually that powerful. Weird. Okay. Pretty sure this one was like ultra expensive too, so not many people have that one. Okay, sure. We're getting a buff to the Cassard line. 0.01 fuses now. I believe they were 0.03 before. So that's a pretty nice buff for the AP. Yeah, 0.03 was what Cassard was. So that's a decent buff to the AP. But again, AP destroyers. Am I really going to take the time, half a reload to swap? Because anytime you swap shells in this game, it takes a few seconds for it to go through, right? Unless you're using gun feeder, which we're not on a DD usually. So I'm losing DPM there. Then I swap to the AP when they're broadside, and I get, in theory, higher damage. But in practice, I'm getting bounces, shatters, non-pens, like all this stuff where the AP doesn't perform very well. And then I'm going to take another half a reload to swap back to the HE once they're angled again. I am of the opinion that just simply loses DPM. Even on ships like Daring. Unless they are sitting broadside and not going to angle to you, which, again, like, sure, in theory, paid actor moments, yes, it's better. But against a normal player, it's just shoot AG. And then Cassard gets a nerf to its detection, which I don't really get. It goes down to 6.2, 6.3, 6.2. So you're telling me it's gonna be spotted at the same time as a Fuyutsuki? It's gonna be spotted at the same time as a 20 de Julio? Really? That is bad. That is really bad. I'm not sure how else I could put that, but you know, it used to be 6 kilometers. Even then, like with the lag in spotting in this game, you're spotted at basically the same time as those two crazy ships. So, I mean, Cassard was already... I did not like playing Cassard. I do not think it's a good ship. The speed is so low. Yeah, it's got a fast engine, like a crazy engine boost, but it's very limited in time. Like, I would just... Like, if you want to play a Torp French DD, go play Legmod Kleber. Right? Go play even Chateau Renault over Cassard, which is crazy because that ship's not that good. But, like, Cassard Nerf is just brutal. Like, that doesn't feel like they play the game, to be honest with you. Anyways, we could say that about a lot of things, carrier subs, but let's not go into it, shall we? Bagration is getting a pretty massive reload buff. This one has 9 180s. So this is like 9 Donskoy guns at a tier 8. That's pretty interesting. And a turret traverse buff. So slightly improved pen angles as well, I believe, on that AP. So Bagration could be a bit of a monster there. That's kind of interesting. Sevastopol getting a pretty nice buff. AP shell alpha damage going up. Pretty nice. That one does have pretty good accuracy. It's still 6 guns, so it doesn't have good accuracy for me. But in theory. Upper belt and deck armor plating, though. This is massive. This is massive. I'm so sad we didn't see a similar buff to Castilla. But this is massive. 30 mil armor sucks these days, honestly. It really does. It makes sense for some cruisers where, you know, if you gave them the ability to auto bounce battleships, they would just be flat out overpowered. It wouldn't even be a contest. But, you know, overmatch is a frustrating mechanic. And, like, for sure. It's kind of necessary in some situations. Not so much against big, slow cruisers with no DPM like Sevastopol, and I would put Castilla in that camp too. Like, this is good. This will make it a lot more playable, where you can actually angle to some battleships now. Not Satsuma and things with over 500 mil guns. So that's really just in comp Satsuma and Shikishima. But other than that, you can angle. That's good. That's very good. I still probably won't like it because of the guns, but that'll help. That'll help it a lot. Fen Yang also getting a DPM buff. Is that the AP version of Akazuki, I think? With Deepwater, something like that. Interesting changes. Interesting changes. I do not agree with some of them. I don't want to say all of them, because most of them I would say are decent. But yeah, it feels like we're not dealing with the right problems in this game, being carriers and subs. But hey, it's been, what, 11 years? And carriers are still busted overpowered, and there's no gameplay against them, and subs were introduced a pretty long time ago now, and the problem ships are still just chilling. Busted overpowered, there's nothing you can do against them, there's no gameplay. Interesting. Changes to test ships. Friedrich Karl, this is the Richelieu with GK guns and manual secondaries. The Hydro got nerfed. Okay. That's a downside for sure, but not like that massive. It's not the main gimmick of it. Respublica, what were you? Oh yeah, American guns, right. Range buff. Side armor plating, 40. Okay, so it was getting overmatched by like Yamatos and stuff, sure. Combat instructions, consumable prep time, and cooldown bonus to 90, so you get them back even more instantly. Heavy repair party replaced with heavy repair teams. Oh, Sevastopol style heal. That's, wow, wait, that's actually kind of interesting. Oh, that actually is kind of an interesting ship then. If I remember right, it was shell hits and potential damage to charge this. Interesting. Okay. I mean, it's test ship. It can still change, but that'll be interesting. La Spezia, main battery accuracy reduced. Now it has standard cruiser dispersion. Didn't it have an alpha damage and DPM nerf over the like Brindisi? But you got crazy accuracy in exchange. So if you aimed well, you would be still rewarded. So now is it just a worse Brindisi? That's kind of weird. There might be some other gimmick there that I'm forgetting. Tejong is getting a range nerf on its radar, but a big duration increase. So it's like Salem radar by the looks of it. And a detection nerf. Okay. This one seemed pretty strong when I was playing against it. Seemed like it would just face roll over all the DDs because it would have crazy detect with its F key. I believe that reduced its range, but also massively buffed its concealment. And then you would just stealth radar or same time radar and then just nuke a destroyer for free. Like, going back to this, like, you know, like, sure, battleship radar is a problem, but not like the main thing, you know. Stealth radar is a bigger issue, and a much bigger issue is the plane spotting, which they refuse to touch for some reason. Anyways, there you go for the dev blog here. Pretty cool. I always like to see changes to older ships. I think that is neat. Some of these are very questionable for sure. Makes me wonder what they are looking at. But there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.